went play, so.
All right, we are now live.
Very good. Now that we have a quorum for our regular meeting of the Reclamation District 900 for February 16th, we have one absentee, Trustee Karina Orozco. We will continue and call this meeting to order. And pursuant to Government Code 549 by 3 as amended, and due to the state of emergency declared by the governor, members of the Reclamation District 900 Board of Trustees will meet via teleconference and Zoom, and they can participate by calling in on the telephone number listed on the website. Next, we'll go to the general administration. Part 1, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the district. The agency is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought to them at this time. Mr. General Manager, do we have any requests to speak from the public?
There are no requests to speak.
Thank you. Next is our consent agenda item, part 2. Are there any requests to remove any consent agenda items? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Alcala. Moved by Alcala.
Seconded by Early.
All right, Mr. General Manager, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Early,
Aye.
Trustee Alcala,
Aye.
Trustee Sulpicio Hall,
If you want to say aye, you could raise your hand. Hope she froze.
I think she froze again.
Trustee Sulpicio Hall? Can you hear us? Okay. We'll continue.
Well, President Guerrero.
Oh, aye. Thank you. Sorry. And next is a regular agenda item, part 3. We're going to remove item number 6 off the agenda. I'll need a motion to do that.
Alcala moves.
Early seconds.
All right. Mr. General Manager, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Alcala,
Aye.
Trustee Early,
Aye.
President Guerrero.
Aye. And this item is removed from the agenda. Next is our item number 7, Reclamation District 900 board meetings, and we need to schedule a date to be in person as of March 2023. How exciting.
Time's flying.
Yes. So
we've sent out a couple of emails trying to see what time works best. And I think for this board, morning does not work well for quite a few board members. So I think there was suggestions of 5 or 5:30 p.m. Right before the city council meeting. There was comments about that. That could be a rush to get through this meeting to get to the city council meeting. So just want to take that into account. The other option is to continue the meetings 6 p.m. on Thursdays at the RD 900 office. Well, we could definitely have them at the RD 900 office. We don't have the video sound system, of course, that City Hall has. We can figure something out with the camera or whatever. The video does help me when I'm taking notes and going back to confirm what was said. So the video does help me quite a bit. And so those are some of the options. I think the 5:30 or on Wednesday or the 6 p.m. on Thursday were sort of the options that the board commented on.
yeah, we've had, our meetings have lasted for about 20 minutes on average. So I think the 5:30 works.
I could do 5:30.
Okay.
Same.
And that's on Wednesday, 5:30 Wednesday
Yes,
before the
before
city council.
Yep.
It's okay with me if that works with everyone else.
Okay.
And Ralph, we need to vote on that. Is that correct?
That's right. We're going to vote on that. We're also going to publish our regular meeting schedule on our website.
Yes.
Okay. Also, I'll accept a motion to schedule our meetings Wednesday on the city council. That would be the second Wednesday. Sorry, the
First.
second.
First,
The
First
first Wednesday of the
Wednesday.
month.
Oh, the
Yeah.
first, sorry, the first, the second is port. Okay, yes, the first.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion for the new meeting schedule on the first Wednesday of the month at 5:30.
Early seconds.
Mr. General Manager, please call the roll. Did you hear who went first?
yes, Verna. Trustee Alcala,
Aye.
Trustee Early,
Aye.
Trustee Supizio Hull,
Aye.
President Guerrero.
Aye. All right, that is approved. Thank you so much. Next, we have our general manager.
I'm sorry. What day is that going to be again next for March? I'm sorry.
March 1st.
March 1st. Thank you.
Yeah, so since that's only, 2 weeks away, week and a half away, we may not have that one. There's a couple of potential permits that are out there, so we'll see if they need to be processed in March or if they can wait till April. So we'll publish that our board meeting is first Wednesday of the month at 5:30, and then if not necessary, we'll cancel the first one.
Sounds good. Okay. Next, we have our general manager updates. Mr. General Manager.
Sure, okay. Find my notes here. A couple of things. I attended an HR meeting put on by the Special Districts Association and went through our employee handbook, which was last edited in 2017. So Ralph and I plan on reviewing and making any necessary updates and bringing it to the board at some point. We haven't had a chance to go through it yet, but I just wanted to bring that up. Our employee handbook's 6 years old now, and so there's been plenty of changes that we need to make sure it captures or need to update. The next item, based on the audit, had discussions with council and others regarding segregation of duties. A couple of options, of course, do nothing, status quo. That's not accounting practices, principles. It may not look good in front of others. Second option is general manager approves invoices with a board member signing checks. Option C is to hire an assistant general manager to approve invoices, and general manager signs checks. So option C, talking with our auditor, our accountant, and others, that works and is sufficient for segregation of duties. So I think with the workload and things we're doing in the district, option C would be my recommendation as we look at hiring a assistant general manager. It actually could be part-time and more on the business end. I can handle the engineering, construction, maintenance, and the assistant GM would handle kind of the operations HR portion of it. So wanted to bring that up with the board and ask for direction or comments on that portion.
Thank you, Blake. Are there any, go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, at this point, like what you want to do is give your report. It's not an appropriate time for discussion of any particular matter amongst the board, but we can certainly bring any of the topics you bring back to the next meeting.
I think the only question I would have, just as you're bringing that topic back, would just be a full description of just the budget and the viability of that. We again, we don't have to discuss it, but that would, yeah. Okay.
Sure. The next item that was commented on was accrual of reimbursable grant costs. I think this was more associated with our FMAP budget funding income sources. The FMAP program runs January 1st through December 31st, where our fiscal budget runs June 1st through July 1st through June 30th. And so there's a little offset of billing and so on. So the auditor recommended that we bill the state under FMAP at the end of our fiscal year, just to keep the books tied together, matched up. So I think historically we billed at the end of the year, i.e. February, once all the bills came in. So just again, a comment, and that's easy enough to do for us. It's just we bill twice a year instead of once a year. The financial policies and procedures discussion, working with our accountant. Again, option one is do nothing and leave it as is. Option B would be to actually prepare financial policies and procedures for the district. We've asked, our accountant is asking the city for what they may have for policies and procedures for, financial end of thing, and see if we could get a copy of that to use as a template. So we're working on that part right now, just to see if it makes sense for RD 900. The cities might be a little overdone for RD 900, but at least it's a template and a sample to look at. The financial report update, normally I keep that up front, and I had omitted it by mistake, and so I put it in my general manager's report. Income, sorry, as I'm grabbing my paperwork here. So total income to date, let's see, make sure I get it right here. 3.4 million. One of our, let's see, our total expenses, 806,000. The one thing, back to the invoicing, we have not invoiced the state, so there's a $350,000 negative showing, but I'll be billing that here in the next month to the state. I don't know what that dollar amount will be. I don't know if we're close to $350,000 to invoice, and that's for our work on the levee system, including mowing and some of the work that we've done, the crack repair on the Southport levee, and cleaning up one of the roads in the Southport area. So we're waiting for final billing to come through, and then I'll invoice what we have to invoice. So I think the 350,000 is the maximum we could invoice, and whether we hit that maximum or something less than, we'll see here in the next couple of weeks where we are. Let's see. And I might have mentioned this before, during the storms, we had a couple of minor slips on the Deepwater Ship Channel. I think there's been a couple more slips since then. I actually talked with the previous general manager. He came into the office yesterday, and he said, yeah, that's sort of status quo for that particular levee. It slips during heavy rains, and then we come back and repair it in the springtime, summertime. So just a clayey levee, and it has a tendency to slip when we get heavy rains. Ditches, again, we had significant erosion during the wet January, and so we're keeping an eye on that to make sure we don't lose any maintenance roads while waiting for FEMA and that continuation of funding. Let's see, Black River Canal is moving forward. We received good news from The Army Corps, the only thing they had asked for is our consultation with Cultural Resources. FEMA had actually done that, and we were able to track down the documentation from FEMA. And so that would be submitted today or tomorrow to the Army Corps. The additional permits through Fish and Wildlife, those were submitted last month, I believe it was. And so they try to have permits within 45 days. So we're looking at hopefully we could go to bid sometime end of April, early May, and construction over the summertime for Blackbird Canal. All right, the office building. The sanitary sewer lines have been completed. There were approximately 300 feet of sewer line that needed to be slip lined and epoxy to hold the pipe open. So we do have flushing toilets, draining sinks once again. The total dollar amount was $103,000, 600. So it was a big bill to fix the sewer lines. It took the contractor about 3 weeks to fix that. So it was a long process for them to complete. In the meantime, the water lines, unfortunately, after a few gallons leaving the water running, it starts to turn a murky yellow-brown color. My guess is the pipes themselves are galvanized steel pipe, and there's just rust in the pipes. They're getting old and just exhibiting old age, unfortunately. And I've called a lab to come out to sample the water to make sure it's just rust and nothing else, and waiting for response from them. They had to figure out what they would be testing for, and my guess is it's primarily rust in the pipes. So we'll find out what the next step would be for those. We do have bottled water in the office or a Culligan water, so we don't have to drink the office water right now. The roofing contractor, we were able to get underway February 6th. They removed the roof material, and as we suspected, there was rotting and warped plywood and rafters, joists. And I went up on the roof several times to look around. So they ended up having to replace probably 30+% of the roof, the plywood and rafters. It's been a noisy process as they've been working on that roof. The original contract was $58,000, and with those changes, it is now $86,000. Unfortunately, there was no way to tell that the roof was in bad shape when you still have the roofing material on it, and that's always a big clause in roofing contracts. Is we'll let you know when we get the roof pulled off how bad the plywood is underneath, and ours was in bad shape. Like I've mentioned in the past, landscaping, signage, we'll deal with that here in the future. Everybody that tries to find our building seems to get lost, and again, there's no signage, and landscaping right now is weeds and dirt, and we need to clean it up to start to fit in out there. One of the items I thought of, we got our PG&E bill for all the pumps that were running over the January, and we've got 11 pump stations out there in the city, and the bill was roughly $22,000 in electrical fees for running those pump stations. And one option we could do is put solar panels on our building, the office building, to help offset some of those costs. And the reason I bring it up now, the program is changing. Currently under the NEM 2 program, when you generate more energy than you use, you get reimbursed a higher dollar amount, let's say 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Under the new program that starts in April, you get reimbursed a significant amount less. I think they were talking about 8 cents per kilowatt versus 30 cents a kilowatt. So there's a significant difference with the roof size on this building. We could probably generate quite a bit of electricity. It's a large building, and the company that's working on our roof, they also do solar. So I'm starting with them to kind of get an idea of cost, what they could put up there, what it would generate. But I would go out to formal bid to do this, and I can do that, and then we can decide at a later date. Problem is, we have to be under contract by April of this year, so it's a turnaround and a quick process. But they will look at it and tell us if it's worth doing, if we're generating enough power to offset the cost of the solar panels. I don't have anything for DWR, the Corps. Through the county, we're working with FEMA on the disaster. Yolo County is within the disaster, assuming everybody knows that. Greg, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add for the WESAFCA portion.
Good evening. Yeah, just real quick. For the federal flood project, the Corps is scheduled to go out to advertise for bid for the Yolo Bypass South Reach, and that's for construction. The schedule to go out to bid on February 21st and awarding a contract in May. So we will be going, construction will be occurring on the Yolo Bypass South Reach, which is just south of the Causeway, I-80, when it comes into the city. And then a little bit later this year, right around the mid or end of May, the Corps should also be going out to bid for the North Reach of Yolo Bypass levee, and that levee is right behind the new Public Works courtyard. And depending on how quickly that happens, they're looking at awarding a contract around September 1st. So depending on the schedule that the contractor proposes and weather, we'll either be going to construction end of this year, end of summer, early fall, or it may need to wait until early in the construction season in 24. But I'll update the board as we get there. Meanwhile, the Corps is continuing to design the Sacramento River North Levee. And with WESAFCA staff and we have contracts for geotechnical borings and evaluations and some survey work that we're working to provide data for the Corps to support their design. So that's where we're at. Federal funding wise, we have FY22 funds on the order of, or the Corps has received on the order of $25 million, and then another 72 and some change for FY23 funding. So there's a total of 97.6 million of construction funding with the Corps right now to work on our project. And the president's budget, which is due to be released in March 9, we're hoping that we'll see another 58 million approximately for the WESAC project in the president's budget. So that concludes my report on WESAFCA. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick question on the request for the bid. It's going to be the Corps that sends out the bid for the South Reach levee.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the Corps should be doing the bids for all the reaches from this point forward. So they're leading design, they're leading construction, and we're in a support role, and project management role, and a funding role.
So just for the rest of the trustees, I think trustee Orozco is the one that's got the history as far as the funding. Can you describe a little more where that's coming from?
Yeah, so of the total federal project cost, 65% of the cost is borne by the Army Corps of Engineers, the federal government. And roughly 25% of the cost is borne by the state. And then roughly 10% of the cost is borne by WSAFCA / the West Sacramento residents. So that's how the cost share is divvied up. Right now, the previous cost update was at $1.2 billion, which was pretty close to what it was when it was originally authorized in 2016. The court just did another cost update, which we're all calling foul. And so the district is looking at having, the district that certifies the cost is in Walla Walla, Washington. And so they're looking at having them redo that. The real estate costs went through the roof, and we don't think that they're substantiated, especially since most of the levies are in the public realm and encumbered by lots of easements for O&M, flowage, and other things. And so we're going to call their bluff and ask them to redo that. Anyways, it's a very expensive project, and the Corps is providing the lion's share of the funding, followed closely behind with the state in second place with the funding.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, and one last thing. Through the completion of the Southport project, which we did in partnership with the state in advance of the Corps, we have approximately $173 million worth of credit that we're submitting to the Corps, that they'll be able to apply as part of our cost share, ours being the state and WSAFCA. So as of right now, the Corps is covering 95% of all the costs on an annual basis, and they're only requiring us to contribute 5% cash, which is required no matter what we're doing. But so far, that's the way it's going, and it appears that it'll go that way until we use up our credit. So that's a really, really fortunate way that they're carrying out our project. And I think it will continue that way as long as we're getting significant federal appropriations. Since they're going to be carrying their costs and our costs, 95% of what they can do on an annual basis, they have to get large appropriations or they can't do very much. So we're going to be pushing for lots of money annually.
Okay, great. Thank you, Greg. And this is what we do advocate. So when it comes to cap in April, this will be on the agenda.
You bet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and this is Trustee Early, and you will be giving us these talking points for that when we go to cap?
Yeah, so the flood team puts together some papers, which if you're on the flood team, you'll get copies of those. And if you're not on the flood team, we'll provide you copies of those.
Okay,
and then
perfect.
we also put together a kind of a fact sheet that kind of has it's kind of a 2-pager that for the West Sac project. So yeah, we'll get some stuff for you.
Thanks, Greg. And that's all I had for the manager's update. If there's any questions.
I will say that the Assembly Member Cecilia Aguiar Curry's office toured the levee last week. And, we also provided a recommendation because RD 900 is one of the boards that council needs. We suggested we take a look at, legislation to have an appointee for this body. We'll see how that goes. Doug's working on that. Okay. Since that ends that update, go back to the top of this agenda. We have trustee comments.
None.
All right, then I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. A caller.
All right.
Early second.
All right, Mr. General Manager?
Trustee Akala,
Aye.
trustee Early,
Oh, I think she's having,
trustee Early, I didn't hear anything.
yeah, we didn't hear anything.
She's on mute.
Okay,
Can you guys hear me? Aye.
Yep,
okay, great.
got it. Trustee Sulpicio Hall,
Aye.
President Guerrero.
Aye, all right, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
all.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.